Yes, good morning, students. Good morning, one and all. I'm sure you all are revising well. Anybody, any questions in whatever we studied, kindly put forth before I can start with today's session. And in whatever we have studied in costing till date, also anything in costing which maybe we may not have covered, which is coming in the further sessions, but you started studying and you have some questions or doubts, I have no problem. So let us first take up your questions, doubts, before I can launch with my discussion. Yes, students. Kindly unmute and you can speak to me.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello, madam.
Sir, we are solving these questions, but we do not know that our answers are correct or not. So what we can do on that?
But I'll request that whatever questions you are solving, please refer to our institute's material like the past exam questions, MTPs, RTPs, so that you also have the exams. Anyways, my questions are majorly compiled from these sources only. So whenever you are practicing at home, beta, kind request that you please do it that way.
Okay, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. Yes, students. Anybody else? Anybody else, students? Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question. Yes, Ayushi. Or who's asking? Anybody? Any questions? No? Fine. Now, the topic that we are going to start today, students, is the employee or the labor cost. Now, as you all know, we have already studied materials, which I'm sure you all would be very well remembering, recalling as to whatever we studied in material. Now, let me take you after this material revision. Let us start with the revision of employee cost. Now, if you remember, students, I have been telling you this even in my earlier topics, that when we are studying these three topics of material, labor, and overheads, basically we are studying three things. One is the accounting and procedure, the other is the controlling, and the third is the charging. If you remember, in material, this controlling aspect had more weightage, where we focus more on the inventory control techniques and where we studied the stock level, the ABC analysis, the EOQ, and the likes. Then we also just touched about the charging aspect, where, if you remember, I had explained the most important concept, that was the effective charging rate of material of labor, where I said that there is mother formula, whereby there is a mother formula whereby you compute the charging rate of all elements of cost. So whenever you are doing costing, the mother formula is the same. It will be used for costing any item in this particular domain of costing subject, as well as whenever you want to find out the per unit charging price, maybe of material or of employee or anything, the same formula implies. That is why I call it as the mother formula. Same thing we are going to study over here. But what is more important in the labor is this portion, more than the accounting and the controlling part. The labor is mainly delving with these items for the purpose of exams. First is how to compute labor remuneration, that is a labor wages, and treatment of some special items in labor. But before any of these things we deal with, let me first start with the charging. That is, how do I compute the labor charging rate, which we use in cost sheet for charging. This is also called as the effective rate per hour. Now, how will you find out this? Same mother formula. In the numerator, I'll take total. Now, what total I will be taking over here? Since I want to find out the labor charging rate, I will take the total labor cost to company upon, again, if you remember the mother formula, it was quantity minus normal loss. This is the mother formula, right? Now, what is quantity over here? It is the labor hours. So I will take the total labor hours available minus the normal loss of labor, which is normal idle time. This is my denominator, which is very similar to what we studied in material also. The only thing was we wrote over here units of material and the normal loss in material. In the numerator, when I say total labor cost, what it means? Understand, it means your basic. Who is unmute, beta? Kindly keep yourself mute. Only you should unmute when you have a doubt or when you're asking a question. So, you have the basic wages, plus you have different types of allowances, HRA, TA, DA, children education, etc. Plus, you have different types of perquisites or facility cost and all types of statutory payment, only the employer's portion. So, Provident Fund employer's contribution, ESIC employer's contribution. So, all these things make up the numerator, that is the total labor cost to company. Now, somebody will say, sir, this is appearing very similar to our income tax, employee or labor or salary head. Answer is yes. The only difference is in the income tax, we are looking at this from the employee perspective because we are computing employee's income. In this chapter, we are looking at from the perspective of the company, that is the employer, because we are finding out the cost to the company. Second difference, in income tax, since we are computing it from the employee portion, which is the salary income of the employee, we are adjusting all the emoluments which the employee receive under these various names with the exemptions or deductions that are allowed to the employee. So it may happen that you may not be taking the entire allowance, you may not be taking the entire perquisite or the employer's contribution to Provident Fund. Why? Because you deduct or you adjust from that the various exemptions provided under the income tax law. Here we are not computing the income from employee side. We are computing the cost from the employer side. So here we will take all items in toto. So whatever is the total cost which the employer has incurred. Now, when I say basic, please remember it will also include all types of commissions, bonus, and all types of premiums. So all that will be covered. In short, in a very basic thing, whatever the employer spends on and for the employee, all those things would make up the numerator, which becomes a total labor cost to company. Denominator, which by our golden rule and the concept is the available total labor hours minus the normal idle time. Also, when I say total labor hours available, what do I mean? How do I calculate? Please understand this. We have 365 days in a year, but we all know generally companies do not operate for 365 days in India because we have a standardized weekly off. Plus, alongside that, we have some national holidays or some holidays for certain rituals and festivals. So all those things are adjusted. So effectively, let us say we may be having, let us say, 290 working days in a year. It may be 270, 290, 300. I'm just taking example of 270 days. Multiplied by, you have 8 hours shift. Now we want to find out hours. So I will be multiplying this 270 days by the hours per day. Now it may happen that we are operating all 3 shifts. So multiply by 3 shifts. This will give me the hours the company is operating in a year. But I don't want the hours the company or the factory is operating. I want the hours for which my employees are operating. So I multiplied by number of employees. So let us say I have 120 employees. So I'll multiply this by 120. This will give me the total labor hours available. in a year minus. Now, when we say I have a shift of 8 hours, I'm sure you all would appreciate and agree that no worker, and even if let us say your entire process is mechanized, no machine would be operating continuously for 8 hours. So whether it is worker driven work, that is labor driven, or it is machine driven, the hours will never be productive for the entire 8 hours and for 3 shifts continuously. You compulsorily require some breaks. Those are called as normal idle time in case of employees. So since we have considered total hours available, it will be adjusted with the breaks, compulsory gaps that we need, which may be either at the start of the day or in between the work hours in the form of lunch or refreshment or changeover, etc. All this is called as the normal idle time. And then when I divide this, I will get my rate per hour, because in numerator we have taken cost, in denominator we have taken hours. So I will get my rate per hour, which will be called as effective rate per hour or my labor charging rate. This way, let us say I get rupees 225 per hour. This becomes my labor charging rate. Now in my cost sheet, whenever I have to charge this, if you remember, I had explained this when we were dealing with materials. So in my cost sheet, whenever I have to charge this labor cost, I will take the hours which the labor is working or would be working on the given product for which I'm doing costing, and I'll multiply it by this charging rate to get the amount of labor cost that I have to charge. So you can see here we discuss this same concept for material. Similar logic, the mother formula, numerator is total cost, denominator is base. Base would be here the units of material. In our employee chapter, it is the hours minus the normal loss of material. And since material is physical, tangible, the loss may be realized. So we will even adjust in the numerator the scrap value of this normal loss. The scrap value is not adjusted in case of labor because labor loss is in the form of loss of hours of work. There is no realizable value for that. So this is how the entire concept of charging happens in costing, whether it is material or whether it is labor. Same thing we'll study in the next session when we'll be dealing with overheads. Anybody has any questions up to this point, dear students? Anybody wants to ask anything? No? Okay, there is something in chat. Clear, understood, clear, excellent. Wow. So let me proceed. So let me start with the first aspect that I want to discuss with you all, which is labor remuneration system. What is labor remuneration system? Labor remuneration system is the method of computing the wages payable to the employee, mainly the basic portion of the wages and maybe the allowance and certain types of bonus. Now, when we talk about the labor chapter, earlier, some 4 or 5 years back, our syllabus had multiple wage systems covered. However, now they have reduced it and they have confined it only to those systems which are today applicable in the industry. So we'll be only studying those systems which are applicable to the industry. And for those systems, we'll study and we'll learn how to find out the earnings of the employee. One second. Yes. So now these are the plans or these are the methods of computing your wages or the employee cost under the various remuneration systems. So as you can see on the screen, broadly, there are only 2 systems of wages. One is the time-based system and the other is the piece rate or the output-based system. Now, what is the difference between time-based and the piece-based? When we are talking about time-based system, the plan that we have is simple time rate. So the first plan is called as the simple majority of industries. They will find out the actual hours worked. This is also called as, in short, AHR, or it is also called as AT. AT is the actual time. So we first find out the actual hours for which my employee has worked, and we multiply it by the rate per hour. So the wage rate in this system is fixed as rate per hour, which is also called as the time rate. So the wages formula is simple and straightforward. That is why it is also called a simple time rate system, where you take your actual hours work and you multiply it by the rate per hour. This will give you the wages that you have to pay to the employer for a day, if it is a daily wage worker, or a week, or a month. Then comes the, which is the piece. We find out our actual output, which is in units, which may be put per unit of output. This is how we will get the wages payable to the worker. Now you'll understand this, that this particular wages is also called as minimum or guaranteed wages, because irrespective of how much you have produced, the quantity that you have produced, or whatever was your output performance, your wages is fixed at this much point, depending upon how many hours were present in the. So let us say you're in the factory for the whole 8 hours shift of the day. Irrespective of what is your output, what is your performance, you will get the wages for 8 hours. Let us say your time is 100, so your 800 rupees is fixed. That is why this plan is also called as a minimum or the guarantee. However, in case of your piece rate plan, it is called as payment by result. Why? Because let us say there are 3 workers, A, B, C. In this first case, all the 3 workers are getting same wages. But let us say the speed of different workers is different depending upon their efficiency level, their expertise level. So these 3 workers in the same 8-hour shift produced different quantity of output. Again, I'm assuming the piece rate, that is a rate per unit of output, is 10. Sorry, 10 would be too much. Let us say it is rupee 1. In this particular case, A would be getting 700, B would be getting 800, and C would be getting rupees 900. Now here you can here the wages is not guaranteed as to how much each one would get. That would purely depend upon their performance, their speed, their efficiency level. And it may happen that if in a day a particular worker has not worked for any reason, maybe ill health, or maybe there was no work allotted, whatever, piece work may be detrimental because the worker may not get a minimum wages for his daily basis. And that is why many times piece rate is not considered a good plan. But at the same time, there is a very plus side of piece rate, which is also the negative side of time rate is, if you can see, piece rate has an inbuilt system of rewarding. How? The worker who is more is getting higher wages, and the worker who is less efficient is also getting penalized. So it works to establish discipline, and also it ensures that the workers are being paid in the most reasonable and fair manner. Here it is slightly unfair. Who is not working, let's say somebody is wasting time doing some time pass and wasting the time in between, still the worker is getting the same amount, and the worker who is very honestly working, dedicatedly working, he or she is also getting the same amount. So that is somewhere not a very good sign, because then it leads to more complacency amongst the workers, because they lose the enthusiasm to work. So this is where both these systems are compared. Now, depending upon the requirement of the basic necessities to be satisfied, so you should get some minimum wages, but also in building some essence of the piecework, that is the bonus element or the reward element, this particular plan will also give you some part as bonus in the industry, because it incorporates the good of both the elements. Now, for finding out wages under this, we need to first understand some more concepts. So the first concept is standard hours, or it is also the time allowed. Now, what is standard hours or time allowed? It is simply the time which is fixed by the employer for doing a particular work. Now, let us say in our given example, 1 hour is equal to 100 units. is the standard set? Means what? The employer has kept a standard, a limit, that if you are working as a normal employee, neither very highly efficient or neither low efficient, you are a normal employee with your average efficiency level, you should be able to produce in 1 hour 100 units of output. Now, this is the standard which is set by the employer. Now, what is standard hours? Let us understand. Again, in respect of the three same employees, ABC in my example, the first employee has produced 700 units. Now, if he has produced 700 units and the standard which is set by the employer is in 1 hour, 100 units should be produced. So effectively, the standard time A would be 7 hours. On similar lines, for B would be 8 and for C would be 9. So what is the standard time? Standard time or standard hours? Hardik, beta, why are you on mute? The standard time or standard hours is time that should be required for actual output. So how much time you should require to complete the actual output, to produce the actual output, is the standard time or the time allowed. So depending upon your output, we compute the standard hours. Now, when I deduct from this the actual hours, now what is the actual hours? Actual hours is the hour for which the worker is present in the factory. In our example, it is 8-hour shift. So all workers are present for 8 hours. Now the difference is called as your time saved. How much is time saved? In the first case, A is very slow. He has produced output which should have been produced in 7 hours, but still he was present in 8 hours. So maybe either he is slow or maybe he is inefficient. That is why he has wasted my time. But when we are saying time saved, we only take the positive value. If there is any negative, we will ignore it. We will take it as nil. B is my at par worker. That is, his speed matches the standard which I have set. So whatever output he has given is output of 8 hours, and he has also taken 8 hours. So effectively, he is at par, he is nil. But in case of C, who is a highly efficient employee, he completed work of 9 hours by working only 8 hours. So effectively, he has saved my 1 hour time during the day. This is how we compute these concepts like standard hours and time saved. So standard hours, which is also called as time allowed, we will represent by ST, that is standard time. Actual hours, I have already mentioned, we will call it as actual hours or AT, that is actual time. And for time saved, we will be using the abbreviation TS. Now, once this is clear, let us understand what is the formula or the plans over here. We have the Halsey plan, and there is a variation in Halsey, that is Halsey wire. If nothing is mentioned in the sum, you should also only take this particular Halsey, but just to inform, there is one more Halsey. And then there is a Rowan plan. Now, Halsey plan is actual time into time rate. If you recall, this is nothing but your minimum wages. So as I already mentioned, these bonus plans are incorporating the good of both the time rate and the piece rate plan. So first good is they have taken from the time rate, that is they are ensuring minimum wages. So they will be paying you firstly your minimum wages by the formula actual hours into time rate. Now comes the bonus portion, where in case of Halsey, they will say find out your time saved and then multiplied by the time rate. So this is the bonus portion that they are giving. Now, between Halsey and Halsey, where the difference is, both are similar plans. Both are giving minimum wages plus wages for time saved. The only difference is Halsey gives you 50% of this bonus. That is whatever wages you have earned extra for the time saved period. Halsey gives you 50%. Halsey ware gives you 30%. So that is the only variation between Halsey and Halsey ware nothing is mentioned in the sum. You have to take it as 50%. Is this okay, students? Then comes the Rowan plan. In case of row 1 plan, the formula is you take actual time into time rate, which is the basic or the minimum wages portion. Plus, now this is going to be interesting. In bonus, they take wages again of your actual time. Now here they were taking wages of the time saved. So they were giving you effectively the wages of the time that you have saved. In other words, the time that you have indirectly worked extra. But here in the bonus portion, they are giving you bonus based on your wages for actual time only. The only difference is this wages is proportionated by this ratio. So numerator is time saved, denominator is standard time. So bonus is this portion. So they will take wages for your actual time, that is a time wages, and multiplying it by the time saved upon the standard time. So this is how the row 1 plan computes your wages. Anybody has any questions or doubts with this? Sir, this means that piece rate with guaranteed wages is higher of the above. Yes, you're right. You're right, beta. So Hardik, in case the plan says piece rate with guaranteed time wage, you have to find out firstly the time wages, then the piece wages, and you have to take whichever is higher. So you're right, Hardik. So if the plan name is piece rate with guaranteed daily wages, you have to take higher of the two. Yes, Hardik. So first, number 3, module or the sheet which I share for practice.
Sir, from the sheet and 2 from sheet and 1 from module. Sir, I am from regular batch.
I know that, beta. I remember my students. And anyways, you are regularly asking queries, so I very well recall you. So 1 second.
Sir, I thought that...
Hardik, let me do one thing. Sorry, you're saying something, beta?
Sir, I thought that this is for revisionary class.
I know that. No, but I remember my students, beta. Don't worry. Okay, Hardik. So before I take your doubt, for everybody who's present over here, just for their practice, I will request you all to solve question number 1 first, which is the basic question. So I have given you 3 workers ABC. I have given you some data about their workings, and I want you to give me wages under 3 plans. Now remember, students, whenever more than 1 workers are given, you should always do your presentation in a tabular form. So it will be particulars ABC. In particulars, you'll write the name of the system. Against that, you will write the formula. So if it is straight piece rate, I will write the formula as actual output into piece rate. And then here in the bracket, I'll put the values and I'll compute the answer. So what is the actual output for a 300, then 480, then 600? So 300, 480, 600. Now I need to find out my piece rate. That is the rate per unit. Now what does the sum says? Normal rate is rupees 60, but this is per hour. Please be clear with this. So normal rate is rupees 60 per hour. This is your time rate, not piece rate. Because this rate is given per hour, we want the rate per unit. Now let us find out if they have given you the rate per unit. Interestingly, in this sum, I have intentionally not given you the rate per unit because I want you to understand even how to convert time rate into piece rate or vice versa. So I have given you the time rate. I have given you the standard. Now what is the standard given in the sum? For 1 unit of output, you should consume or you should require 1 minute. Now remember, you should always express standard like this. So if I say standard is 1 unit per minute, it means per hour you should produce how much? 60 units. So this is the standard. Now I want to find out my piece rate. Why? Because this plan requires piece rate. Now we will use this standard to find out the piece rate. We are already given the time rate, which is rupees 60 per hour. So if I write the time rate, it is 1 hour is equal to rupees 60. Now equate this. For 1 hour, I have set the standard that you should produce 60 units. And for the same 1 hour, I am setting the standard of payment of rupees 60. It means effectively for 60 units, I am giving you payment of rupees 60, or for 60 units, I propose a payment of 60. That is why my piece rate becomes, that is for 1 unit, my rate becomes rupee 1. Yes, good Ayushi, good Anmol. I hope this is clear to you all students. So this is how, if the sum has not given you the time rate, you can find out time rate from piece rate, or vice versa. If piece rate is not given, you can find out from time rate by comparing that rate with the standard. So you should mention the standard, you should mention the rate, and then I'm sure mathematically you will be able to find out. So my piece rate is this. So my wages as per the first plan comes out to this. Chalo, I give you all time. Find me wages for Halsey and Rowan for all the 3 workers. Yes, Hardik.
Sir, can I ask?
First, is it relating to question 1?
Sir, it is of same concept.
Yeah, please go ahead, beta.
Sir, it is question 33. Same concept.
Okay.
Sir, in that question, there are minutes. Sir, from minutes, the answer which I am getting and the answer which I have seen is not matching.
Okay. Just wait, let students
Okay, sir.
complete this, then I'll go to
Okay, sir.
33rd also. Chalo students, start posting me answers. First post me answers of Halsey. You can put the answers with commas. So I'll understand first one is for A, second one is for B, third one is for C. Okay, so one answer I'm getting is for Halsey 480, 480, 540. Is this correct? Put me answer. If somebody else any other answer, or put me answer for Rowan. Students, I hope you all are solving alongside. Okay, Anmol has given me answer for Halsey 480, 480, 540. Good. If others concur with this, give me the answer for Rowan also. Rowan 480, 480, 576. Please check. All are getting this 480, 480, 576. Students, should we proceed? Have you all understood the basics of Halsey Rowan? Should I presume that? So now Hardik has said 33rd. Now in 33rd, what is it given? In a factory, guaranteed wages at rupees 1.8 per hour. So this is your time rate, your weekly time, which is fixed for your working, is 48 hours. By time and motion studies, it is estimated that to manufacture 1 unit of a product, 20 minutes are required. So the standard given is 1 unit is equal to 20 minutes. I always need standard as 1 hour. So if 1 unit is equal to 20 minutes, then 1 hour will be how much? It will be 3 units. Is this fine? Ayushi, but I think row 1 answer is 480, 480 and 576. You have typed 570. Yes, beta, please tell me.
Sir, further there is written that time allowed.
Yeah, I know that. Wait. So don't haste. We'll go to that. So 20 minutes converted into standard per hour is 3 units in that 1 hour. Now they further say the time allowed is increased by 25%. Now what does it means? If I say time allowed is increased by 25%, so here it will mean I will add 25% time to this. So 25% means I will add 5 minutes to this. So now this will be 25 minutes. If this is the 25 minutes, then my standard would change. So for 1 unit, now I should require 25 minutes. So in 1 hour, how many units I can make? It will be 60 divided by 25. How much it comes to, beta? 2 point? Is it 2.4 exact? Okay. So 60 divided by 25 is 2.4. So this becomes my standard for all workings. So during the week, A produce 180. Calculate his wages as per the following methods. Time rate, piece rate with guaranteed weekly wages means you'll find out piece rate and time rate, whichever is higher will be your answer. And then for Halse and Rowan, we need to find out the standard hours. From that, we deduct actual hours to find out my time saved. So how much will be standard hours? A has produced 180 units. Now, if the standard is 1 hour is 2.4 units, then 180 units should be produced in what time? So 180 divided by 2.4 units. How much it comes to? $75. So the standard for A is 75 minus how much time A has worked for this particular case? I think it was 48. So the actual hours is 48. So the difference is your time saved, which is 27 hours. So Hardik, you'll get your answer according to this. I hope it is clear now.
Sir, I have also done in the same way, but they are saying that the time save is 9 minutes. They have calculated it in minutes. So, sir, is it wrong or we can go for minutes as well?
See, now the question is that how do they want the wages to be computed? Generally, the wages are not computed in minutes. The wages are computed for a period. The period may be whole day or whole week. Now here, if they have said that it is 48 hours week, then you should calculate the wages for the whole week. So they may have calculated it for that one particular case. So that is incorrect. I should not say incorrect, but that is not the appropriate way of presentation. Because when the question asks you to calculate wages, wages always means wages for the period, which here means a week. So you should compute it in total and not for that one particular unit. Right, beta?
And sir, if by chance, if in question nothing is mentioned and they have mentioned only 48 hours, then we have to take only 6 days working.
That way, again, you can assume that it will be 6 days of working, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, what was your question in question number 3? You said you had some doubt in 3, but I find 3 as very straightforward question.
No, sir, I have doubt in 33.
Okay, fine. So that is done.
In module, I have LU3.
Okay. Is it relating to this only?
No, sir, it is not relating.
Okay, so let me first take few questions on this and then we will go to module other type of questions, right? So now students, let me take you to more questions on Halse-Rowan. Something a bit different. Yes. Now let us take question number 8. We generally get these type of questions which are word problems or slightly maths based question, what you used to solve in standard 9 and 10 in schools. So I want you all to read question number 8. Just apply your minds for a minute. And then if you are getting the clue, start solving. If not, I'll solve for you. So now we know the basic formula of Halse-Rowan. But this is how we have to deal with the exam problem. These are the exam type of problems. Now, pay attention, students. The question says a worker takes 6 hours to complete a job under a scheme of payment by results. The standard time allowed is 9. So simply they have given you certain details. 6 is your actual time, 9 is your standard time. So obviously time saved will be 3 hours. Now his wage rate fixed is 15 per hour. So this becomes your time rate. So see, I'm simply identifying the data so that when I start solving, things are available at my fingertips. Now, the material cost for this particular work. So he has completed some work which is, let us say, called as a job. So for this job, the material cost is rupees 160 and the overheads are charged at the rate of 150% of direct wages. Now you are asked to compute the factory cost of this particular job under Halse, under Rowan, and that's it. So now when we have to compute the factory cost, we all know factory cost is your direct material, direct labor. We also have direct expenses, but many times it is not given in the sum, so I'm ignoring. This total is prime cost. In this, you add factory overheads, you get factory cost. Now, I want to find out this under both the options A and B, which is if wages are paid under Rowan and if wages are paid under Halse. Now, direct material, I know direct material is rupees 160. So it remains same. Direct labor, I need to calculate, and on that basis, my overheads will be direct labor into 150%. Now, calculation of direct labor cost, Rowan and Halse. So I'm not writing the formula, just I'm immediately directly landing to the figures. So my actual time is 6, my standard time is 9, time rate is 15, time saved is 3. So 6 into 15 plus 6 into 15 and this 3 upon 9. Similarly, 6 into 15 plus 3 into 15 and 50% of this. So this will be my wages. So Halse I'm getting as 4 41. Achha, I think you are talking about the
It is a final answer.
final answer. Okay. So 120, I think, is the wages. 120 and 112.5. Correct, na? So it is 280, 272.5. Then 150% of this. So it comes to 180. Correct? 150% of this. This will come to how much it is coming to? 106.
168.75.
So accordingly, you get your factory cost. Correct, students? Perfect. Great. Now slightly more advanced word problem. Okay. You may take up sum number 11 now. Now this is going to be interesting. It has some adjustment in terms of language. Yes, Swati, you're right. Direct labor will include premium. Okay. Should I start, students? So this is interesting word play. Now, in this particular question, what it says, a skilled worker is paid guaranteed wage rate. So it is per hour rate. So this is your time rate. The standard time per unit is 4 hours. P, a machineman, has been paid wages under row 1 and he earned effective hourly rate of rupees 37.5. Now this is interesting. What is this effective hourly rate? Effective hourly rate, as we saw, is total wages upon actual hours. So see, this is the word play, which now we have to read and interpret from the question. So his effective hourly rate is rupees 37.5 and he has been paid under row 1. Now, if I have to further extrapolate this, I'll get a different view at this. So I can find out my total wages by this into this. So it will be my actual hours into the effective rate. Now these are my row 1 wages, correct? So this is my row 1 wages. Actual hours is unknown in the sum, so I'm assuming it to be X. And the effective rate is 37.5. So in other words, my wages as per the row 1 plan works out to 37.5x. This is the wages. X I have assumed to be actual hours. Now I apply the formula of row 1. Row 1 plan is 80 into TR plus time saved upon standard time into 80 into TR. Now in this 80x TR 30 plus time saved is standard minus actual upon standard into again 80 into TR, and this whole is 37.5x. Kasak, you're right. Anmol, good. Now, I have to find out the value of x. So this is 30x, which is plus. So when I bring it over here, it will be minus. So what I will be left on the right hand side would be 37.5x minus 30x. So it will be 7.5x. Now here, both these are multiplication. So now here, if I bring this here, it will be divided by. So what I'm left with is on the left hand side is this. Right hand side, I had 7.5x upon 30x. Again, I bring this 4 from here to here. So it will be this. Now 7.5x into 4 is 30x upon 30x. So effectively what I'm left on the right hand side is 1. So further it is like this, 4 minus x is equal to 1. Therefore x is equal to 3, which is my actual hours. So in this sum, I find out the actual time, which comes to 3 hours. Therefore my time saved will come to 1 hour. And once this is done, I can now easily find out what they have asked for. They have asked for my wages under Halse plan. So I'll now easily apply the Halse plan wages. So I get my wages under the Halse plan as rupees 105. I hope this is clear to all. You all would have understood this. So this was an interesting wordplay question. Chalo, take up 13 sum. Another wordplay question. Yes, Kasak, you are right. Good. Yes, Hardik, beta. Till
Sir,
then, others may start solving 13 sum.
Sir, in this question, I have one small doubt. Sir, by chance, if there are 2 or 3 workers in effective hour concept, sir, by chance there are 2 or 3 workers, then we have to add all the hours and their wages to find out the effective hour, or it is a
No,
labor
beta. Because in that case, the effective rate given would be given per hour. Because see, every worker would have a different combination of standard time and time saved. Because everybody's efficiency would be different. So in that
Yes,
particular case, let
we
us
have
say
to
if
calculate separately.
same type of example comes for multiple worker, it would be effective rate for each worker separately. So you'll apply
Okay,
the same formula separately for each worker.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Students, take up this 13 sum. Okay, so let me take up. Now again, what is the special part in this? A company is having its factories at two different locations. Now, in this particular case, what they are saying is Rowan plan is used at location A, whereas Halsey plan is used at location B. The standard time, the rate per hour, that is the time rate, is same for both the jobs. Now it is saying it is same because the job is same, only the locations are different. So since the company is manufacturing the same thing, the work is same. That is why the standard time and the time rate is same, but they have not given this in the sum. Let's see what is there, what is not there. And is carried out on similar machine. Fine. Time allowed. Okay, so standard is given. So standard which is same for both the locations is 60 hours. Actual at location A is 36 and at location B is 48. Fine. So for both locations, actual hours is given. We can easily find out time saved. Now, interesting. They are saying the conversion cost at the respective locations is 1224 and 1500. And the overheads account for rupees 20 per hour. So the overheads are charged using the rate per hour, which is rupees 20. You are supposed to find out the wage rate, which is missing in the sum. So let me assume the time rate to be X. Now I've assumed that time rate is X. I will find out time saved at location A and location B. Both are having 60 hours as standard time. Location A has 36 hours. So here time saved is 24 hours. Location B has 48 hours. So here time saved is 12 hours. Now, what is conversion cost? See, in the previous sum, we discussed factory cost. Factory cost was direct material, direct labor, direct expense, and factory overheads. But that was factory cost. What is conversion cost? Conversion cost is, in this formula, remove material. Because on material, you do conversion to make it finished goods. So conversion cost is excluding the material cost. So it is basically direct labor plus overheads. Now, if this is clear, we can start solving the sum. I know the conversion cost given in both the cases is 1224 and 1500. So conversion cost, location A is 1224, location B is 1500. Now, what are the plans used at both the locations? The plans used at the different locations are, Rowan is used at A. So in this, I put the row 1 plan, which is actual time into time rate. So actual time is 36. Time rate we have assumed to be x plus again 36 into x and 24 upon 60. Here you have the Halsey plan. So it is 48 actual time factory overheads is charged at the rate of rupees 20 per hour, correct? Correct. Now, if we take this ahead, this 720 will go on the left hand side, it will get deducted. So I'm left with this is 36x plus. How much is this, students? Give me the figures. Similarly, 960 when it comes here, it will be 548x plus 6x. So I get 540 is equal to 54x. Therefore, x is equal to rupees 10, which is my time rate. 14.4. Okay. So 504 is equal to 50.4x. Now here you are getting x as 10 only. Why? Because I had already mentioned that the time rate is same for both the locations. Had the time rate not been same, still you would have got the answer by this mechanism only. Maybe this would have been different. But here, since they have already mentioned that the time rate is same, you are getting 10 per hour as same in both cases. Yes. Good. Very good. So many of you all have already computed the answer correctly. Very good.
Sir, I
Yes,
have a
madam.
doubt in this.
Please,
Can you
please.
please have that slide?
Yes, beta. Tell me.
Sir, over here at location A, we have we have divided 24 by 60.
Yes.
Isn't it will be 50%?
Beta, location A is row 1 plan, na? We have
Yes.
taken 50% where there is hull say. What is the formula for row 1?
Okay.
It is time
Oh,
saved upon standard time, na?
okay, okay, yes, yes. I swapped the plans. Actually, I took A for healthy and B for Uwan.
No problem,
Oh,
beta.
okay.
Yeah, perfect. Chalo. So students, let us proceed. Next, another good wordplay sum coming for you is sum number okay, 15 you can solve. Chalo, take up 15. Be careful while reading the sum so that you don't make a mistake with what is very obvious and very clear in the sum.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my connection got disconnected. So can you please explain the first concept, first question, like how do we derive that time taken and time standard time, please?
Sorry, I didn't get. Can you please repeat?
Yeah. Can you please explain question number 1?
What is not clear in question 1, Srini?
Time taken.
But a time taken, I already explained. It is your actual time.
It's got disconnected. So my connection got disconnected. So I'm not able to hear you properly.
No, but we have already discussed this earlier also. Na? Time taken is your actual time. Time allowed is your standard time. But where is time taken given over here? I didn't get your means. Why? Where is this point of time taken here?
No, Halsey formula.
What is the formula for Halsey?
Time rate into time taken into 50% of time rate.
So actual time is time taken.
Yeah.
Into time rate. So what is actual time? Actual time given over here is output in a 8-hour day. So 8 hours is your actual time. Correct, Srini?
Okay.
So
actual
time
rate is
taken,
60,
actual
right?
time, all these are synonyms.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anmol, beta recheck your workings. Correct, Ayushi. Yes, Swati, you're right. Kasak, you're right. Shoaib, you need to recheck, beta. Chalo, I'll wait for a minute more. Chalo. Now again, go to the word play. There are two workers, Mr. Sachin, Mr. Saurabh. These were the greats of cricket of our times. When we were kids, we grew seeing these people play and bringing glory to India. Fine. So Sachin is getting paid under Rowan. Saurabh is getting paid under Halsey. So something similar as compared to the previous sum. But henceforth, the things are slightly different. Now the time allowed is this. So this is your standard time. Sachin takes 60 hours. Saurabh takes 80 hours. So all this is actual time. The factory overheads are charged at the rate of 10 per hour. So this is your overheads recovery rate, overhead charging rate. And now they have given factory cost, which comes up to this amount for Sachin, this amount for Saurabh. Now, again, try to understand, students. In the previous sum, we were supposed to find out conversion cost. Here we have factory cost, which is direct material plus direct labor plus factory overheads. Now, direct material is not given in the sum. So let me assume, let direct material be X. Similarly, as far as the wages are concerned, we know the plan, we know the hours, but we don't know the time rate. So let time rate be Y. Now again, starting with Sachin, who is paid under the Rowan plan. The factory cost given for Sachin is 7280 and for Saurabh 7600. So first equation will be 7280, another would be 7600. Direct material, I don't know, it is X. Now I have to find out the wages by the Rowan plan because Sachin is under the Rowan plan. Now what is the actual time given for Sachin? It is 60, standard is 100, so time saved is 40, correct? So 60 into Y, this is the wages. Again 60 into Y, this is the bonus portion, right? And since this is 100, time saved is 40. So 40 upon 100. I hope this is clear. Plus factory overheads, how are they charged? The factory overheads are charged at the rate of rupees 10 per hour. So 10 per hour and your actual hours are 60. So 60 into 10. So you'll find that it is running very similar to the previous sum. The only difference is in previous sum, it was conversion cost. So we did not take direct material cost. Here it is direct material cost also, and even that is missing. So that is why we have two variables X and Y. One is direct material cost, the other is your time rate. Now, this 60 into 10 will come on this side, 600, and the other things will be this equation. So what I get is 600 coming on this side would be deducted. So it will be 6680 is equal to 60 plus, X plus 60Y plus 40 by 100 into 60Y. So 40 by 100 into 60Y would be 24Y, correct? Am I right? So 24Y plus 60Y would be 84Y. So I get here equation as X plus 84Y. And this is 6680. Same thing I repeat over here. Direct material cost is X. Now for wages, the actual hours by Saurabh is 80. So time saved is 20. So again, actual hours 80 into wage rate plus time saved is 20. So here it is 20 into Y into 50% plus the overheads portion, which is actual hours, into the overhead charging rate, which is 10 per hour. Now again, this is 800. This will come on this side. So I will be deducting this 800. So what is left with me is 6,800. X plus, now this is 80Y and this will be 10Y. So 80 plus 10 is 90Y. So I get the second equation as 90Y. Now we all have studied in algebra subject that simply this is equation A, let us say. This is equation B. And what I can do is I can simply do subtraction of this. So when I subtract, what is left over here is 120 This will get cancelled. And what is left over here is 6y. So I will get y is equal to rupees 20, which is my time rate, because I had assumed y to be time. Now, once I get this, I can use any one of the equations. So let us say I'm using this equation. 6680 is equal to x plus 84 into y, which is now 20. Correct? Now, when I bring it on the left-hand side, I will get x, which will be 1500, which is my direct material cost. So both missing values I have computed, and once this is done, the sum becomes simple. So this was again an interesting word play question. Yes, Bhumika, right. Yes, Ayushi. Good. So I found out both the answers. Right, students? Okay. Chalo, one more sum we do, then we'll go to other topics. 16 sum. Again, a word play question. Read it, interpret it to understand the answer. Correct. Somebody just corrected me. Direct material is 5,000. Sorry. Okay. Now see, students, In this particular case, pay attention what it says. In a factory bonus system, the bonus hours is credited. Let me use another word, given or calculated to the employees in proportion of time taken, which is your actual time, which time saved bears to time allowed. So what is this? This is that word play. Now, if I have to simply tell you, this is nothing but the Rowan plan. Because in Rowan plan, if you recall the formula for the bonus portion, it is this. Correct? Now, for the time being, let us keep this aside because this gives you the bonus amount. If I only want to find out the bonus hours, it is this. And now apply the language. What does the language says? See, it says bonus hours is credited to the employees in the proportion of what? Time taken, that is this, which time saved bears to time allowed. So what is the proportion? Time saved to time allowed. So this is the answer. So if you have understood this, simply for finding out bonus hours, you have to apply this formula. For finding out bonus earned, once you have found out this bonus hours, simply multiplied by time rate, now what you get is your bonus. And then what will be your total wages? Your total wages would be, firstly find out your basic wages, which is actual time into time rate, that is the minimum wages. And to this, simply add the bonus that you have computed here. Students, please understand, basically this is nothing but Rowan plan. But the language is different. That is where they are making that trick. So please understand, we need to be very clear with what they are writing, what the question is saying. Just take a pause and read it again and again, and I'm sure you'll be able to find out. So other than this, there is nothing much left in the question. Yes, there are 2-3 more points. I'll explain that. But this is the first most important part. Now, what more is there in the sum? The basic wage rate is given, so this is your time rate. Units produced is given, so this is your actual output. Time allowed per 100 is given, so this is your standard hours. Now this standard hours is 2 hours 35 minutes. Now if it is 2 hours 35 minutes, let us first find out it in minutes. So 2 hours is 120 minutes plus 35 is 155 minutes. 3 hours will be 180 minutes. 1 hour 30 minutes would be 90 minutes. Why I'm first finding out in minutes? From minutes we can again go back to hours. Now again something new is there are some rejects given, 100. Now remember students, I had mentioned this earlier that whenever we are getting paid for our work will only include work of good quality, that is the good units. So here I may have produced 2500, but if out of that 100 is reject, for me my actual output for all calculations is 2400. Here the actual output for all calculations is 2160 and here 3200. Now taking this actual output, applying this standard that in 1 hour, sorry, not for 1 hour, that is for 100 units, I have 155 minutes. You need to find out your standard hours for 2400 units. So for 100, I am getting 155 minutes. This is my standard. Correct? Here again for 100, I am getting 180 minutes. This is my standard. So for 2160, how much should be my standard hours? So this is how you will find out your standard hours, taking the standards given. And once you have got your standard hours, from that you will deduct your actual hours. That is the actual time. The difference is time saved. Remaining everything is there. It is a Rowan plan. I'm sure everybody will be able to calculate this. I hope this example, this wordplay is also clear to everyone. Nobody has any doubts in this. Yes, Kasak, please go ahead.
Sir, here in the question it is mentioned that no overtime is worked and payment is made in full. So sir, rejected जो हमने मतलब कि 100 units तो वो rejected थे तो उनकी भी payment करी है ना?
Let me check, beta. See, it is saying no overtime is worked and payment is made in full for all units worked. Sorry, beta. You are right. So I did not read this. It is my mistake. So in this sum, you are right, Kasak. We will take full units while computing our standard. So students, here Kasak is right because I just made a haste in reading the sum. The sum is clearly saying that you have to consider or you have to be making the payment for all units that is worked on, including those subsequently rejected. So they have specifically mentioned that even rejections would be covered. So your actual output will remain complete without adjusting the rejections. And on this basis, you will find out your standard hours. Yes. Is this fine with all? Perfect. So students, this is the first part of this chapter. Now we come to the second part of this chapter, which deals with idle time. Now basically idle time is more of a theoretical concept, or rather I'll say it will be used more in the theory questions. So let me just take up that part also. Great. Now, so students, what is idle time? As I had explained, idle time is the time which is lost. When and how? It is the time which is lost, or it is the time difference between the time for which you are present in the factory and the time for which you are actually doing any productive work. So the difference between the time you are present in factory and your productive time is the idle time. So let us say in our example, you are present for 8 hours for an 8-hour shift, which is your total time allotted for a day. You're present for the 8 hours. But what happens? There would be some gaps, there would be some breaks during which you are not doing any productive time. First, immediately, the first time that may be lost is the time for moving between the factory gate to the workplace. So you have entered at the factory, you have put your thumb impression, your attendance is marked. But the factory gate in huge factory setup, the factory gate and the production units may have some distance, which may even be in some fraction of kilometer or even a kilometer, because that much widespread a factory is. Now in such a case, whatever time is lost between the factory gate to the production place, now let us say you are at the production place. Maybe you may need to change your clothes, put up the uniform, put up some safety gadgets. Again, that much time is lost. Further, even if all this is done, besides that, initially in the morning, when you first start the work, you have to prepare the machine for the work. Like how, if I have to start this lecture, I have to first make this entire system ready. I'll first put on my laptop. I'll open this particular link. I'll click on the link. It will take some seconds for the link to start. I will connect with my technical team. Then my technical team and I will be doing some basic testing to check whether all these things are sound, video, sharing of all these slides is all perfect. And then we will start the actual lecture. Maybe that I start 5-10 minutes before. So I may even wait in between for more 2 to 5 minutes before our time is there and we start the lecture. Now, all this is the time for which I am present, but I am not doing any productive work. My productive work starts only when the lecture starts. So this time is my idle time. And this time is lost. But since my payment would be basis my presence in the factory. So the moment I enter the factory, I put my thumb impression, my time is recorded, my payment meter starts. So I am getting paid for this, but there is no productive work. Another reason could be the interval between two jobs. So let us say after this session, for example, immediately in next 15-20 minutes, I have another session, but that is for taxation. So I need to change all my slides. I also need to change this link. I have to get out of this link, go to the other link, again run the same process of joining and testing, and again also close all these slides and start up the slide for that chapter. So again, this will take some time. So this again is the time which is lost between two jobs. Further, as I already mentioned, setting up the machine, I've already mentioned. Then the time which is lost for break. So anybody would require a break. So maybe between two sessions, I need a break, or within the same session, if the session is for long hours, we can take a 10 minutes break. So all these time is what is the time for which the worker is available, present, but there is no productive work. That is the idle time. Now, in all the costing scenario, let us understand and appreciate that idle time is like a normal loss. And what is the use of this idle time? The idle time is mainly used when you are calculating the effective charging rate. As we saw in the numerator, we have total labor cost to company. And in the denominator, we have the hours available minus the normal idle time. So here those idle time hours would be deducted. So let us say my numerator will have wages for the whole period, but denominator will be having 8 hours minus, let us say, all different these idle times combined makes up 1 hour. So that would be deducted. So effectively, whatever is my wages for 8 hours, let us say it is rupees 40,000, that will actually get divided by only 7 hours. So automatically my per hour rate will be higher. This you have seen in material also. Your charging rate is always higher than the rate at which you pay the wages or purchase the material. Why? Two reasons. One, because we are taking total labor cost, so it is including some other costs also. In the similar fashion, in material also, we were taking other costs also besides the material purchase price. So that was the one reason why my charging rate is higher, because it does not only includes the basic cost plus also the supplementary cost. Second reason is the denominator, where we have adjusted the normal loss. Here it is a normal idle time. So because of which my charging rate gets inflated. So remember this word, inflated, because this is what is given in the theory for all these normal loss treatments. Correct? Is this fine, students? So this is what is about idle time. Now in idle time, what is the treatment? The treatment of idle time in costing is always, or rather, please remember this. You study any type of treatment in costing, the treatment of all types of losses in costing is same. Whether it is of material, whether it is of labor, it is same. Firstly, you have to check whether the loss is normal or abnormal. Within abnormal, it may be controllable or uncontrollable. This will make no difference, controllable, uncontrollable. The point is, if it is abnormal loss, the treatment is the amount of abnormal loss is always charged, always transferred to my cost P&L. It is never affecting my products. But if it is normal, we bifurcate it into direct and indirect. So whether here, in case of labor, is it idle time of direct workers or indirect workers? In case of material, whether the scrap or the normal loss of material is of direct material or indirect material. If it is of direct material, it is charged to product by inflating the charging rate. This is what we have been seeing. My charging rate is inflated. Why it is inflated? Because in the denominator, I have deducted the normal loss. So automatically the per hour, the per unit rate will be higher mathematically. If it is indirect workers loss, it will be charged to production overheads, because that is where the indirect wages are charged. So simply direct wages are charged to product. So the loss, normal loss of direct wages will be charged to product. Indirect wages are charged to production overheads. So normal loss of indirect wages is also charged to my production overheads. Here they have given causes why there could be abnormal idle time. So abnormal means what was not expected, what should not have happened, but it has happened. So it may be arising out of abnormal factors like power failure, breakdown of machines, non-availability of raw material, or strikes by labor, lockouts, some poor supervision, maybe any type of natural calamity, any type of pandemic. All these things lead to abnormal, right? Now they've given a similar example. So they have found out first the total cost. For this, they have taken the basic wages for the entire hours. To that, they have added all type of other payments that they are going to make of dearness allowance, of bonus, of employer's contribution and all total. But while dividing it, they will divide it only by the effective hours. What is effective hours? Effective hours is your hours available minus the normal idle time. So hours available were 2400. But here we have taken 2000. Why? Because 400 is my normal idle time. So now what I get is my charging rate, which is inflated rate. Why? Because it is now also covering up the abnormal loss relating to labor. So similar examples are given for idle time. Let us go to the next interesting concept in labor, that is labor overtime. Now what is overtime? Overtime means where you are sitting or working beyond the normal working hours allocated to you. So whenever you work or you are waiting back in the factory or in your office beyond the normal working hours, that is called as overtime. Now, question is how to find out or what would be your normal working hours. That depends upon whether you are covered under Factories Act or not. Now here I would like to inform you all students, this Factories Act is very soon going to be replaced by the Labor Code. It has already been passed, only it has not yet been notified. It may be notified maybe in the year, that is the next year when the new income tax direct tax code will come. They may also notify the Labor Code. Fine, for the time being. If you are covered by the Factories Act, then your normal working hours would be again calculated in two manner. Why two manner? Whether you are a daily wage worker or you are a weekly wage worker. If you are a daily wage worker, the normal working hour is taken as 9 hours. But if you are a weekly wage worker, the normal working hours is taken as 48 hours. So depending upon whether you are a weekly wage worker or a daily wage worker, the normal hours given in the Factories Act are different. Obviously, it has to be. Now, if you're a daily wage worker, then your overtime would be considered only in cases where you have exceeded 9 hours. So wherever you have worked beyond 9 hours, that extra time will be your overtime. But if you are a weekly wage earner, you will not find out overtime on every day. You will not find out overtime on every day. You will directly find out overtime for a week. So you'll total all the hours in a week. Maybe on a particular day you have worked for 12 hours, you have worked for 10 hours. You will not check that because on some other day you have worked only for 4 hours or 6 hours. So we will not compute your idle time, your overtime on daily basis if you are a weekly wage earner. We will compute your overtime by adding up all your days in a week, making up a total and then comparing it with 48. However, where you are not covered by Factories Act, Factories Act does not apply to each and every organization. Like if you go to a bank, go to an insurance company or any other small business where the number of workers are less than the requirement, all these are outside the Factories Act. Maybe these would be in the labor code, but that is later point. Today they are outside the Factories Act. Now for them, how will the normal hours be decided? Because if you're not covered in Factories Act, the 9 hours, 48 hours rule is not applicable. Then for them, your normal working hours are the working hours as fixed by your employer and as mentioned in your salary contract. So your salary contract, your wage contract would be specifying what is the normal time. And then every month, every week, generally it will be monthly only in such cases, we will record your time present and whatever time you have worked beyond the time present, that would be counted as overtime. Plus, when you are working on a holiday, so let us say Saturday, Sunday is off, but the employer has some additional workload. So the employer has asked you to come to office on Saturday, Sunday, and you have honored that request. So that is also counted as your overtime. So overtime will be calculated basis your normal hours or normal time. Fine. Now, once you are working for overtime and you have computed your overtime hours, those hours would be multiplied by your overtime wage rate. And what is this overtime wage rate? It is your normal time rate. So till now, all the sums that we were having were giving you the normal time rate, which was 20, 40, 10, 100, whatever. But in that, when you are working overtime, you are paid extra, which is called as the overtime premium. So normal rate plus overtime premium. Again, the question is, how much should be this premium or how much should be your overtime wage rate? Again, two answers. If you are covered in the Factories Act, the Factories Act says your overtime wage rate will be twice your normal rate. So if let us say employer has fixed your normal rate at rupees 100, your overtime rate would be rupees 200. This is if you are covered in the Factories Act. But if you are not covered in the Factories Act, then your overtime rate would be again dependent on your salary contract, and it would be decided by your employer. So employer is the person in that case who will fix up the wage rate. In case of overtime, it may be double, it may be 1.5 times, it may be 1.75 times. That depends upon the employer and the salary contract. So there are two answers whenever it comes to overtime, right? Now, let me just take some basic examples to explain you how overtime works. Yes. Now see here, this is one example. So what it says, it can be seen from the job card for repairs of a customer equipment that a total of 150 labor hours have been put in as detailed below. 3 workers have worked. Worker A, whose wage rate is 20 and 200, which is for 8 hours. B is 100 for 8 hours. C is 300 for 8 hours. Now on different days, A has worked for these many hours, B has worked for these many hours, and so on. Now, what it says, in terms of an award, in employee conciliation, the workers are to be paid DA on the basis of cost of living index figure, which is per month working out to 968. So the per month DA is 968. Important. The DA is payable to all workers irrespective of the wage rate. So here, as we saw, the wage rates are different. Somebody's paid 200 for 8 hours, somebody's paid 100, 300, but the DA rate is same, that is 968 for a month. Fine. The DA is payable to all workers irrespective of wage rate if they are present or are on leave with wages on all working days. So simple. So wage rate may change, but your DA rate is same, and also it will be paid even if you are present or even if you are on leave. Fine. So in short, wage rate, DA rate per hour is fixed. Now, each worker has to work 8 hours on weekdays. Saturday, Sunday is generally weekly off. However, workers may work on Saturday due to exigencies of work for 4 hours, though full payment of 8 hours will be made with no other payment. So if you are working on Saturdays, you will be paid for 8 hours even though you are working for 4 hours. Now, overtime is paid twice the normal rate. So it means you are covered in Factories Act. If the worker works for more than 9 hours in a day. So it is very simple and clear. They have fixed this, that your overtime wage rate will be double, and importantly, it will be calculated on the basis of daily 9 hours schedule. Now, this is important. Excluding holidays, the total number of hours works out to 176 in a month. Now, why they have given monthly hours? Because here your DA rate is also monthly. So in order that you could compute what is your DA per hour, they have given this. So on Calc, you have to simply divide 968 by 176. This will give you your DA rate per hour, which will be helpful to us in our wages calculation. So we will calculate two rates. One is the wage rate per hour, which will be, let us say, 200 upon 8, 100 upon 8, 300 upon 8. And the other is DA rate per hour, which will be 968 upon 176. And this will be common for all the employees. So it is coming to 5.8 5. Yes, correct. So DA rate is coming to 5.5. Now we have to find out the wages. Now simply if you see, the workings are very simple. Monday. One second. What they have done is overtime is paid. Yes. So 9 hours is your overtime limit. Now see, this extra 1 hour column, actually I'm not much favoring, but they have given it is fine. Why they would have given? Because they have said that normally they work for 8 hours, but the overtime is calculated beyond 9 hours as per our Factories Act rule. So on Monday, this employee worked for 10.5. So basically his normal hours is 9 and overtime hours is 1.5. Here there is normal hours of 8, no overtime. Again 9 and 1.5. 9 and 0.5. 9 and 1.5. So this is how you will compute the normal hours and the overtime hours for A. Similarly for B, all days are 8. So there is no question of overtime. It will be only 8 hours per day. Only what you have to remember for Saturdays, they have said that you have to work for 4 hours, but you will be getting paid for 8 hours. See, if you remember this, here that mentioned that if you are working on Saturdays, you work for 4 hours, but you will be getting paid for 8 hours. So it is like indirectly they are treating Saturday as a holiday. So indirectly they are doubling it up. So you can call it as overtime, or you can simply say for 8 hours, for 4 hours, it is 8 hours. So for 8 hours, it will be 16 hours. So see here. So when I'm doing working, in case of A, there is no Saturday. So this is how they have calculated the overtime hours. Now, there are two ways of computing the wages. One, you find out this normal hours, which is coming to 44 multiplied by the normal rate. Find out this overtime hours multiplied by the overtime rate, which is double. Or mathematically, you convert this overtime into normal time by multiplying it by 2. So the equivalent normal hours will be twice. So now your total hours for which you will be paid is 40 plus 4, that is 44 plus 10, that is 54. I hope this is clear to everyone. Similarly, for B, it will be 8 hours all days. And here on Saturday, you have worked for 4 hours, but you will be getting paid for 8 hours. So it has been taken up as 8. Similarly, C also you will do the working in the same fashion. Correct? Now coming to the working out the wages. Now we find out the wage rate per hour. How is the wage rate per hour found out? A is paid rupees 200 for 8 hours. So 200 divided by 8, you get the wage rate of A. Similarly, 100 upon 8, 300 upon 8. Plus, we already calculated the DA rate to be 5.5. So this adds up and makes up the total rate per hour, multiplying by the hours that we computed by adjusting the overtime also. So this gives you your total wages payable. I hope students, this is very clear to all. So this is how we compute wages in case of overtime. Now there is some more theory part in overtime. Let me take to that. What could be the causes of overtime?
Sir,
Yes, beta.
Sir, I did not understand the equivalent part.
See, equivalent is either you double the time rate to find out the total wages, or you double the hours. See, mathematically it is going to be one and the same, because to find out wages, you multiply hours and the time rate. Now it is said that you will be paid double. So your time rate has to be double for overtime. Or instead of doing that, keep the time rate same, you double the hours. Mathematically, it will be one and the same. So that is what they have called as equivalent hours. So they have doubled the overtime hours. Is this clear, beta?
So,
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
so I was
Recording
unable
may view
to
or share it with others.
Sorry?
Window open.
What?
Exit. Narrator.
Why are there two voices? Yes, go ahead, beta.
Sir, can you please explain Saturday's hours of B and C? How to bifurcate that?
See, Saturday hours for B and C is 1 second. There is some unwanted person in our group. Let me first throw out that person. Okay, fine. So beta B and C, now I'll take example of B. B, the rule given by the employer was you have to work only for 4 hours, but doing that in any case, I'll pay you for 8 hours. So indirectly the question means that whatever time you work, I will be making payment of 8 hours only. So even if you have worked for 8 hours, I'll make payment of 8 hours. If you have worked for 4 hours, still I'll make payment of 8 hours. Actually, this is how they have interpreted the question. I personally do not believe that is the right interpretation, but fine. For purpose of exams, we'll go by how they have interpreted. So we will simply do what? We will simply take it as how they have given, that even though B has worked for 8 hours, you will be making payment of 8 hours only. If I have to do working as per my understanding, I will take 8 hours as 16 hours, because the language I've interpreted is for 4 hours, 8 hours are paid, right? So automatically for 8 hours, 16 hours should be paid, but that is not how what they have done. Fine, beta? So see, certain things are there where you have to go by their interpretation. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Now, coming to this point, again, a theoretical point in labor overtime is what are the different reasons why you would have worked overtime, and accordingly, what will we do of that overtime premium in our costing or cost accounting. So remember one thing, for the overtime, let us say my normal wage rate is 100 and I'm paying 150 for the overtime. So what I'm paying extra for the overtime is that 50 rupees. 100 rupees, which is the normal wage rate, is anyways I'm charging to my product. So that is never a question for me. My question is that 50 rupees, which I am paying extra. This 50 rupees extra firstly is called as premium. And in costing, we are only bothered about the treatment of that 50 because that 100 already we are treating, we are already charging. So we are not talking about that 100 in that overtime wage rate of 150. Overtime wage rate is 150 because 100 is normal and 50 is overtime premium. We are only concerned about the premium portion of 50. So what should be done of this 50 rupees? This is what they are discussing. So first is, we'll find out what is the reason of working overtime. If the overtime working is done simply because there was some abnormal reason, here they have mentioned it in the last point. So if it is resorted to for some abnormal reason, which is not happening normally, then in that case, that abnormal reason should never be charged to cost. This is our general philosophy of costing, that we do not charge any abnormal scenario to the product cost, but we charge it to P&L. So wherever overtime is worked for reasons which are abnormal, like any type of natural calamity or strikes or lockouts, in such cases, we will charge it to the profit and loss. First thing. Second reason, I am working overtime at the special request of a customer. So let us say the customer has some sort of urgency, that the customer wants to get this work done. So let us say a simple example. Now today is the last day of your income tax audit. Now somebody comes today and says that, sir, I want my tax audit to be done. I will say, sorry, I have closed taking new work 5 days back. Already the time is extended by 7 days. You are coming on the last day. It is not possible because I am already scheduled the whole day's work. And for anything beyond that, I'll have to make my employees sit, for which I have to pay them overtime. He says, sir, no problem. You make them sit extra. I will pay you extra. In such a case, the overtime premium will be charged only to that particular customer. And anyways, the customer had agreed for the same because that is the condition I had put. Because if he is coming on the last day or in the last week, I'm already scheduled or working as per my schedule for my regular work. I cannot override that because otherwise my regular client may get disturbed. So if I have to work overtime for that person, I will be charging that person the extra amount. So in this case, the overtime premium will be charged to this one customer. Next, why I am working overtime? Because there is some shortfall. Why there is some shortfall? Because maybe the type of worker which I require is not available. The skill set is not available. So many times in our profession of chartered accountancy, we require highly skilled employees, but it may not be available. In that case, we are working with a smaller workforce. Now, if you are working with a lesser or a smaller workforce, by default, in general, on regular basis, you have to work extra. So even though my office hours are 8, I may have to sit for 10 hours regularly. Why? Because anyways, I am having shortfall of my workforce. In such a scenario, they say if I have to work overtime, there are two reasons. One, this shortfall is permanent. This shortfall is going to be there. It is now becoming a normal feature. That is, it is becoming expected that this shortfall will be there. Then I will include the premium in my charging rate. I will increase my charging rate because I'm considering this premium as normal. However, this shortfall is happening occasionally. So on regular basis, there is no problem. But this shortfall is happening occasionally. Why occasionally? Because in between, I'm getting some extra workload. So suddenly there are in a month or 2 months, which normally we say this is our season period, we get some extra workload than expected. Now, on immediate basis, I cannot hire workers. Also, I cannot hire them for a short period of time because this work may not be there in future. So for such unexpected or non-recurring shortfalls, we will consider the premium as part of our overheads. So depending upon the reason of shortfall, one case, if the shortfall is permanent, regular, we consider it as part of cost to be charged to product by inflating our wage rate. If it is not permanent, it is occasional, we will charge it to the particular overheads. And then another reason which is given is I am working overtime because of some fault, somebody's fault. If it is not because of my fault, but it is because of somebody's fault, then the premium should be borne by that department which is at fault. So the simple answer is where it is not my fault, it is somebody else's fault because of which I have to work overtime, the premium has to be borne by them. So this is all about overtime. Now let us come to labor turnover. Where is turnover given? I'll take it. I got it. Okay, yes. Now what is this labor turnover? Labor turnover is the rate at which your workers are changing. Changing means your present workers are leaving the organization, new workers are joining. This change is called as labor turnover. Now, this change is measured as a percentage. So, out of total workforce, what percentage of workers are changing? This is called as your labor turnover rate. So, the practical part in this is we find out our labor turnover rate. Now, what is this practical part? Let us understand. Now, for this, let me take an example. At the start of the year, the number of workers in my factory are 10,000. Now, during the year, some workers left. They got separated from my organization, which may be either because of retirement, death, incapacitation, or because of disciplinary reasons I have removed them, or there could be multiple reasons why a worker is leaving or getting separated. Let us say during this period, total 1200 workers have left or separated. Now, in their place, the number of workers whom I have replaced, replacement is hiring them in the place of the workers who left, is 1000. And importantly, there are workers whom I have newly recruited what is newly recruited? These are those workers whom I have taken because of new positions creating in my organization, either because of expansion or because of increase in the work. I have created new positions, and in these positions, I have taken workers. So these are called as new recruits. Let us say they are 800. Now, if this is the working, then at the end of the year, the number of workers which I am having would be 10,600. Now with this example, let us understand how to find out labor turnover rate. We first find out average workers. Average is opening workers, closing workers upon 2. Opening was 10,000, closing was 10,600 upon 2. So the average number of workers I have during the year is 10,300. Simple maths. Now, we find out the labor turnover rate by different formulae, and generally you are asked these formulas. So one is by the replacement method, one is by the separation method. So if I have to go by the separation method, I have to find out how many workers left or got separated. So number of workers separated during the year upon the total, which is the average. So 1200 got separated out of 10,300 into 100. This is your labor turnover rate, which will come as a percentage. How much percentage I am getting, students? Some 11 point something. Similarly, if I calculate it by the replacement formula, then it will be 1000 upon the total, which is the average. This will be something 9.9 something or 9.8 something. Then you have a term called as flux. Flux represents the total change. So total change is separation plus replacement both upon average number of workers. So in our given case, separation was 1200, replacement was 1000 upon 10,300. So it is virtually the mathematical addition. Then you have a concept called as the accession. What is accession? Accession means the total workers who accessed your organization or who came to your organization, which is the replaced workers plus the newly recruited workers. So here the formula is number of accessions upon average into 100. So now this total is 1900 upon 10,300 into 100. And then again you have flux. Again, what is the flux? The people who left and the people who joined. So here it is separation plus accession upon the average number of workers. So separated were 1200, accessions were 1900 upon 10,300. Now there are two flux. One is for addition of these two. The other is for addition of these two. Now both flux are applicable. It depends upon what is asked in the sum. Accordingly, you will calculate. So this is how we calculate the labor turnover rates. Now I will recommend that you all should do this working at the start. Why? Because it may happen that some of this figure may be missing. One, closing may not be given, so you'll get the closing. Or at times, it may happen that this may be given, but this may be given incomplete. Like let us say in the sum they have said that people who have left are 900. But if you put this in this equation, it is not matching with this. It means there is something else which is required in this. So you get the balancing figure as 300. In other words, you get that my total separation is 1200 and not 900. So such missing values you get, and that is why you have to do this particular working. It is 30 point something. Correct?
So,
Yes, beta.
sir, can you please explain how number of accession is 1900?
Sorry, how number of accession is 1900?
Yes, sir.
Now, what did I explain about accession? Accession means the total people joining your organization. Now, how they are joining, either they have come in replacement of people who have left, or they have come in new positions which are created. So total of this, correct? So I think I've mistakenly written 1900. It should be 1800, not 19. You're right. So it is 1800 replaced plus new recruit, right? Is this clear, beta?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So students, this is the formula of finding out labor turnover rate, right? I'll give you one example where again there is some missing value so that you'll understand why I have asked you to do it that way. Okay. Chalo, let us solve two sums, 24 and 25 both. Chalo, I'm giving you 7 minutes to solve both these sums. First 24 and then 25. Good. Let me do the working alongside. So for 24 sum, I'm doing the working here. Opening workers 1900 plus replaced plus new recruit minus those who have left or separated and then closing. Now, and they have given 2100, so I know closing. 25 left, 40 discharge. So this I know is 25 for the time being, 40 for the time being. 280 were engaged, out of which 30 were appointments in vacancies created and the rest. So total 280 out of which 30 for vacancies and remaining is this. Now, if these figures are given, we have to find out how much would be left so that it matches this figure. So effectively, the figure of left would be not only this, it has to be different. I hope you are getting this. So can anybody give me the figure of the number of employees which I'll be considering over here, total who have left the organization for all reasons combined? 80? Yes, correct. It means there was something missing because the total of this is 65. So 15 could be other reasons which may not have been mentioned, like 25 left, 40 discharge. So there could be other reasons, retirement, death. So this is what I was saying. You should first always make this working. Now, once you have got this, now we find out the percentages. So replacement is 30 out of the average. Acha, what is the average? Average is coming as 2000. So 1900 plus 2100 upon 2, average is coming as 2000. So replacement is 6%. Then separation. So 80 upon 2000, it will be coming as, sorry, this is coming as 3. 1 second. This is coming as 1.5. Separation is coming as 4%. Flux of the two is coming as 5.5%. Then accession is total of this, which is coming to 280. So it will come to 14%. And then again flux of accession plus separation, it will come to 18%. So students, these are the answers. Swati, please recheck. Your answers are different because you did not find out the balancing figure, which I found out here 80. Yes, right, Bhumika. So students, this is what I was mentioning, ki there may be some missing value. So do this working so that if there is some missing, you will be able to identify it and your answers will not go wrong. Now, question 25 is interesting because it is more of mathematics based. Now, what is this mathematics based? Please understand, in this mathematics based, they have said that labor turnover under the flux, under the replacement, under the separation method is this. So this is flux, this is your replacement, this is separation. Now, please pay attention, students. We are having two flux. One flux is total of this replacement and separation. Another flux is total of this separation and accession. Now, first we have to identify they are talking about which flux. It cannot be replacement plus separation. It cannot be because replacement separation totals up to 8. But if we are having 10%, it means this one is total of separation plus accession. See, these are certain things which we have to figure out. Now, what they are saying, the number of workers replaced is 30. So we know that this is 30 replacement. Now, they want us to know the number of workers recruited and joined. So new recruitment they want. Now, firstly, I don't know what is the new recruitment percentage. So I apply this. flux is equal to accession plus separation. And accession is replacement plus new recruitment. Now this flux is 10. 10 is equal to replacement, which is 5, plus new recruitment, I don't know, plus separation is 3. Therefore, I get new recruitment to be 2%. So firstly, I find out this percentage. Now, once I find out that the new recruitment percentage is 2, my answer is simple. See, there are two approaches. One, you apply the formula, and from the formula you go and find out these values, or there is a direct approach. I'm giving you the direct approach. What is a direct approach? Now we know that 5% is 30. So how much would be 2? Cross multiply. Simple logic, na? So if 5% is 30, yes, Ayush, you're right. If 5% is 30, you can directly find out how much would be 2%, how much would be 3%. So this would be 12, this would be 18. So my answer for new recruitment is 12. My answer for workers who have left and discharged is 18. I hope this is clear to you all students. So you could have gone by the formula by going backward from the percentage and the figure. You first find out average number of workers, and from there by applying the formula again you can find out these, but that would be lengthy. I'm simply applying maths, that is cross multiply. So I found out all the percentages. All the percentages are having the same base of average number of workers. So I can directly collate the percentage that if 5 is this, how much is 3, how much is 2. So I will get my answers. Is this clear, students? So this is all about employee turnover ratio. Fine. Excellent. Yes, Kasak Bada.
Sir, I have a doubt. In question number 14, it's the similar question, but in the first part, when they have asked recruitment and join, they have included both replacement and join. Both workers are included.
So what is the name given? It is recruited.
Yes, sir. And join.
Okay, but I
Sir,
think
its
it
answer is
means they are talking about accession then. So it means you'll add up both the percentages. Both the percentages means, one second, let me check where they have done this. You said in recruited and joined, na? Where is that? 42. So what is the
Yes, sir.
percentage they have? So they have taken beta number of accessions actually. Instead of only new recruits, they have taken accessions. So when they have used this word recruited and joined, so I think they are taking recruited as newly recruited, and joined means the workers who have been replaced. So see, this is again, I don't know what should I say, but this is the interpretation of the question setter. Many times it happens that a person is asking a particular question with a particular thought process. So you may just remember this, that when they are saying recruited and joined, it means they are talking about accessions. Fine, beta?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. And then coming to the last part, the theory part. What are the reasons for the turnover? The reasons for the turnover could be personal, unavoidable, avoidable. Now, personal, we all know these are the reasons which are applicable to the employee's personal thought process. Now, generally also why employees leave. See, if somebody wants to work, why the person will leave? The person will leave for these personal reasons. One, they want to change the job because they are getting better options outside. Maybe better terms of package, better concessions, better facilities, etc. Second, they may leave because they want an early retirement due to, again, a personal reason of health or old age or some type of disability, etc. Third could be because they are having either some problems in family, or there are some family responsibilities which they need to cater to, and that is why they are leaving the job. Maybe next is discontent over the working environment. So they are not happy with the type of people working there or the shabby working conditions, etc. So these are some controllable personal causes, which are definitely controllable. The employer should pay attention to these because many of these are at the fault of the employer. Second is those causes for which employer cannot do anything. These are uncontrollable, unavoidable causes. One is the seasonal nature, like how you see hill stations. In hill stations, compulsorily the businesses are shut down when it is total snow or it is completely covered by snow or heavy rains. Second, shortage of raw material. Like now we have two major wars going on. There may be a particular supply of material which is now getting obstructed either because of the Red Sea problem or because it is flowing from one of these countries which are engaged in war. So because of which that material is not coming. Or another is we have this Bangladesh crisis. We recently have where we had this storm and all this. So all these countries are having some problem because of which my raw material coming from there may get obstructed. Now, if raw material is not there, even though I have workers, I have orders, I will not be able to produce. So that could be the reason for my shortage of material, and hence I need to discharge some employees because there is no point keeping the employees if I cannot do that much production. Similarly, shortage of power, or because there is slack market, again because of so many geopolitical reasons, certain war reasons, or other economic reasons, we are having slack market conditions in many sectors. So this may also lead to me discharging certain employees. Then change in plant. So let us say I'm relocating my plant to some other state. So many local employees who are not ready to shift will automatically be discharged. Then disability, making a person unfit for work. So disability, there could be some physical disability because of which the person is now not able to work. So I will be discharging, and disciplinary reasons. Avoidable are the one which we saw above. Dissatisfaction with job, like remuneration, working hours, you can improve it. Strained relationship with managements or fellow workers with proper checking, counseling, you can improve it. Lack of training facilities, you can provide. Lack of recreational and medical facilities, you can provide. And low wages and allowance, you can always improve the wages and allowance. So these are controllable. Now, most important is what is the effect. So if there is labor turnover, the effect is one, since your experienced and regular employees have left, it will disturb your production. One, because still new workers have to be hired, so there will be some gap. Second, even if the new workers are hired, they are very new to my process. They are yet to gel up with my other employees. They are yet to set and fit into my systems. All this will disturb my process. Next, the efficiency of these new workers is low. So what will happen? The other workers who are experienced, who are senior, are working faster. Their pace of output is more. They are working slower, the new ones. There would be some lag, there would be some gap, because of which again my production is getting disturbed. Next, these new workers require training, induction, so I'm spending more. Again, the new workers may lead to some wastage in the form of breakage of tools because they are still learning my process. They may spoil certain output. So to that extent, my raw material, which is included in that output, is wastage. And I'm incurring cost of recruitment and training. So all this has the net effect of increasing my per unit labor cost, because my numerator is increasing because of all these costs, and my denominator, which is the output, is reducing because of all these reasons. So my per unit labor cost increases because of high labor turnover. That is why labor turnover is not in general considered as a good sign for business. And then comes the last part of this. What are the costs that are related to employee or labor turnover? Broadly, two types of costs are given. Preventive. If you incur this cost, the turnover will not happen in the first place. Second, if you don't incur these costs, the turnover will happen and you will have to incur this cost. That is why the words are preventive and replacement. Now, what are preventive costs? Preventive costs are why workers were leaving, try to overcome those. So spend more on providing better facilities, spend more on giving them different types of employee welfare benefits, spend more on other benefits which will help you to retain the employees, that is better wages, better allowances, etc. So first is doing those preventive costs which will not let turnover happen. But if you don't do this and now turnover has happened, then you incur additional costs. What are they? Training cost. In fact, before that, you incur the induction cost, that is the cost of selection and recruitment. So you incur this cost first, then training. Then, since the workers are new, they may cause some wastages, breakages, and scrap. And initially, since their speed is slow, so you incur extra costs both on labor also and overheads also, because they are for the time being inefficient or slow. So this is the second cost which you incur if you have not incurred the first cost and it has caused labor term. So with this, students, we have completed the employee cost, all the major aspects that are required, all the practical aspects that will be required by you. I hope this is going to be helpful in your exams. Kindly prepare it. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the next session. Please do practice from all the available material on our website. We have the best material today. I have seen so many classes notes, but our institute materials are the best, whether it comes to module or it comes to all practice sums. Thank you, Beta Om. So let us connect soon again for the next topic, and I'm sure you all will enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you all. Take care, and please study hard and study with proper material, study with proper timetable, and study with proper commitment. Fine. Bye-bye. Thank you, technical team. Bye-bye.